Welcome, welcome. You're good? You're all good? No, absolutely great. The question is whether I know what I'm doing. Yes, I think we're in business. Good. Welcome. So, does everybody know where we are? So we are in the middle of Midrash 4:5. And towards the bottom of the page, Nun Zion, beginning with Rabbi Yudan. And we're still investigating the rakia. It has proved rather difficult. And the piece that we got up to last week was this sort of incredibly strange, complete failure to understand science. Do you remember? That there would be... Actually, it's a good day to be discussing this, right? That the water would kind of come through and it would be dripping... Nun Zion Rabbi Yudan.
Okay. Shimon.
Yeah. And actually, we don't need to rewind at all. We can charge ahead. So anybody interested in reading? Go for it, Lester. Thank you.
But where were we? We decided that this water was.
Yeah, we just
done.
We
water
don't
was infinite or not?
Thank you.
And it was used up, but it wasn't used up, or we've gone beyond that.
You've gone beyond that. We had that the water was coming. Shall we rewind a bit?
Just a bit.
It would be helpful. I mean, there's no connection between what we're about to do and what we were doing. But harakia domel vrecha. It was similar to a pool. Mila ulemala min brecha kapa umitachat shahabrecha mizat tapim avot. So above this kind of pool. The rakia is like a pool, and the water drips through the pool. These fat drops, and they fall down into the sea, into the salty water. But they don't lose their freshwaterness as they sort of are mixed up in the sea. And my Rabbi Yonash, alat mahahaden. Don't be so confused by such a thing. Yordana avar b'yama Tiberia, that the Jordan River flows into the Sea of Tiberias. V'lo mitarevba, but the Jordan River water doesn't mix in with the Tiberian water, right? I mean, we did all of this last week.
But this is a conjecture. He doesn't know this for a fact.
No, he's reporting it as a fact. He's saying, don't be surprised.
But how does he know it?
Because he knows it. How do you know that the sun goes around the moon?
Right, okay. You're asking a very good question, which is where do the rabbis get their science from? And I'm not aware of ancient Near East theories of this kind of stuff and how it comes from. I mean, it's just wrong. I mean,
but I just wondered whether there was an ancient tradition that the water of the Jordan is so special that it goes through the Tiberias and comes out the other side. But is there such a thing?
Yes, but I have no. It might conceivable, but I don't even think this because this is too old. Okay. I mean, conceivably, someone's done that work, but. Excuse me, that kind of stuff depends on a great deal of luck, because you have to have someone who is a kind of an. You need someone like Irving Finkel, who's the keeper of the cuneiform manuscripts of the British Museum, who stumbles onto something like this and goes, "Hang on, wait a second, I've remembered Midrash Bereishit Rabbah 4:5, and and then he's capable of sort of saying, hey, look, A and
were
B.
they in Babylon at this time? I mean, this written.
Who are we dealing with? Which rabbi? Rabbi Yonah. Rabbi Yonah is in Israel.
Palestine.
Yeah, it's just Palestinian. I mean, I'm just sitting there.
Babylonian, non-Jewish.
Right. Interesting. There it is in. So I'm in the Masorah Midrash. Towards the middle, can you see in the bold writing which says Yordain biyama de Tiberia, that the Jordan waters in the water of the Tiberia. Have a look at Baba Batra 74b and Brachot 55a. Goodness, I should know the Brachot one. And also, by the way, Lakaman, and it's also further on in Bereishit Rabbah in chapter 76:5 and Yaakov Shalom.
So this is referred to elsewhere.
It's referred to elsewhere. It's just,
go research and find out how he knew.
It might be that there's something written. I mean, if there was the place to look will be on a kind of collection of critical work on brachot and Baba Batra. Not brachot, bechoros. There we go. That's why I didn't recognise it. Yeah, I have not come across that. Okay. So then a mashal. This it's master nisim, how great it is, because when we mix things up, they get properly mixed. It's only when God does it that God's capable of sending the waters into the sea without them getting mixed up. All right.
Okay, so Rabbi Yudin Brab Shimon Omer Shehu Moridan B'midah, that he lowers them in a measure. I don't know quite what that means.
Sends down the water carefully, like midam or dead is to measure. So he sends down, like God specifies the precision. I mean, I think what the issue is how come the water comes down drop by drop? How come it doesn't
mix? Because it makes the point here that they all come several days' journey, but the drops of water never intermingle.
Well, we did. Yeah, we did. We did that. But here, shehu moridan b'midah, is God sends them down, specifying the size of the amount of water that comes down. You know that it's not like, I mean, you know, if I run a bath, I turn on the tap and the water comes off, and then I turn off the tap and move on. But God does midam, drop,
in discrete units.
Exactly. And we're going to prove
that. Are they specifying where they're dropping? Certainly, where it's dropped is.
Well, this is now
rain.
This is now rain. Yeah. No. I mean, in general, raindrops come down in droplets. We're going to prove this with a couple of verses
from Eov. Ki yigora nitfei mayim. Well, it's the words I don't know. These are poetry. Hakadosh Baruch mamtir. The notes here say Hakadosh Baruch Hu mamtir al haaretz hu goreh et tapot hamayim min habaricha.
Right. So behold, God is great, and we know Him not. So these are Job's friends trying to explain to Job that he can't understand God. When God taketh small drops of water, they produce rain. Right. So when God takes drops of water, so He is gara tapei mayim gara.
I think it means remove, separate,
draws away.
Right, it also means kind of drags. But we've got this sort of slightly strange verb, or rather, the way in which this verb appears in Job is not what we're expecting. Right. So you know, but how does God make it rain? God garaz the rain. What's the best explanation for this? There are a load of different verses for getting dressed, verbs for getting dressed in Hebrew, right? You belt up your belt. You put on your jacket, but you input yourself into your trousers. You know, they're kind of different verbs, and therefore you can tell by the verb what the thing is, right? So here we have. How does God make it rain? God garaz the tapei of mayim, the water droplets. Okay, so we've got this gara in Job. Turn over the page. This is what that says.
But somewhere else in Vayikra it says v'nigrame erkecha. Well, that means it's deducted from your
value
allocation or whatever.
Right. So
this is when you're I think donating your land to the priest or
yourself,
something.
Right?
Yourself.
And so there is a way of giving to the temple actually where that you give your orech. You say, I pledge my value. And if you're pledging, sorry, you are quite right. This is the land. You're quite right. 27. 18.
I think
if he sanctifies his field after the Jubilee, the value of your field depends on how many years. If it wasn't your ancestral field, right? Sorry, even if it was your ancestral field, it depends on how many years there are to the Jubilee. Because when the Jubilee comes, the land comes back to you. So if I pledge the value of my field in year 1 of a Jubilee, I'm pledging 49 years worth of field value. But if I pledge it in year 49, I'm only pledging 1 year's worth. Right? But here, yigram means deduct. So therefore, the gara of Mayim, how did God make it rain? What does it mean, this gara? It meant that he reducted it. He squeezed it down. So that's how we get drop. Hi, Milton. The God put the water down in a restrictive capacity.
So this Hechma Da'at is not
It's
saying...
It's a Gezerah Shava language. What the gara is in Eov,
it's the same as
Zeh Ma Shehu Omer. That's the literal translation. Omer. Yeah, Masha Ata Omer. And it will be followed by another verse. So the gara is gara. It's a Gezerah Shava. Does everyone know what a Gezerah Shava is? Literally an equivalent decree, and it's the classic rabbinic form of midrash that you can match the appearance of a word in one place with the appearance of the same word in another place, even if the context seems radically different at first sight. That's a Gezerah Shava. Okay.
Like what? I mean, how would that?
Gara.
Oh, sometimes it's silly things like diber, something words which appear all over the place, but the rabbis
gives rise to totally illogical conclusions.
I mean, the classic one is the Gezerah Shava on why a minyan is 10 people. Because the number of spies was 10, and they're called a kahal, and this called kahal of this equals the kahal of that, and so that just as that is 10, therefore you need 10 people to make up your minyan.
Right, that's similar to but don't you read that in the beginning of the morning sermon?
Yeah, exactly.
What they call it, the 18,
13
yes.
Interpretation, yes.
Yes.
We call it a non sequitur in English.
No, it's not.
It is, because they're taking words in entirely different contexts and they're saying this have the same meaning when clearly they weren't meant to have the same meaning.
Yeah, but clearly this is the whole reason it works. Is that this is a tradition that these two words, Gezerah Shava, you can't come along, Gerald, and say, I'm going to take Gezerah Shava between this and that.
That's the logical. That's a tradition of logic, but it's other types of logic.
Well, I think the origin of this is this way. It's actually a perfectly meaningful way of working out what a word means. You look where else it appears, and then you say, on the basis of it meaning this over here, it means this over here. So it starts off perfectly normally.
But they do it way beyond that.
Right. Then, it then starts to be used as an asmachta, a justification for what you know that the word means, but you can't actually prove by connecting it to a word which appears out in a different context somewhere else. Right? So then it becomes a game that you play where you just connect a word in one place to a word somewhere else. And then the rabbis say, and they literally say, Lester, exactly what you just said, which is no more Gezerah Shava. Right? You can't do this game because you have to know that it's only really working as a justification. It's not a real kind of form of truth. It's all right, it's not Shabbos.
You're a very important person, Gerald.
It's your wife.
Somebody really loves you.
Okay, so then it says...
End of idea. Moving on.
Ka'ovya shel eretz, kach ovya shel rakia. So the... Ovya, is that still cloud? Is it still...
Thickness. No? Right. I mean, like a cloud... The Hebrew word for a cloud is thick thing, right? So, so the thick thing, but as in the pre-8 Arvei, the thingy of the 8 Savot, the thick-leaved. Which one is that? It's the myrtle, right? The myrtle has thick leaves. So now the question. So we're going to now ask this question about the rakia. How thick is it? Off we go again.
So the first we have a quotation from Yeshaya which tries to prove that the thickness of the earth is the same as the thickness of the rakia is the same as the thickness of the earth.
Right. By the way, what shape is the earth?
Round. Flat.
Right? So I mean, what kind of a rabbinic thinker, Lester, and you, right? The earth has a depth to it.
Sounds like a pizza.
Right, right. And above the earth is the air, and above the air is the rakia, and above the rakia is the heavens, right? So that the rakia has a thickness. How thick is the rakia? The thickness of the rakia is the ovya of the aretz. How do we know this?
Because the verse in Yeshaya says, "Hayoshev al chug haaretz," and then in Eov, obviously making a gzera shava there, and it says, "V'chug shamayim yitalach."
Right. So in Isaiah, it talks about God and how great God is. That God goes for a walk around the earth. 40:22. Have you not heard? Have you not known? Have you not heard? Hath it not been told to you from the beginning? Have you not understood the foundation of the earth? That God sits upon the chug of the aretz. Right? So God is sitting on the chug of the aretz, and then it says.
Chug meaning what in this case?
Well, chug literally means a circle. As in chag, which means going around Jerusalem, if everybody sits or a chug, which is like a grouping, it means everybody sitting in a circle. It's a kind of coming together in that kind of sense. Here we go. Sometimes the book you need is right in front of you.
This is hug you're talking. Hug. Yeah. Nothing to do with hug.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep. It's the same. It's the same word. As in Chag Sameach.
Yes,
means, literally good wandering around Jerusalem. Good wandering around. Chug, to draw around, make a circle, connected to the Aramaic words. The Latin word circumnavigate.
Circumnavigate.
Yeah, right, as in circumnavigate. And also we have vault the heavens here.
So the Gzera Shava is trying to say that the chug of the earth is the same as the chug of the
Shamayim. I don't know about the thickness. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
But I think I would imagine that referred to the sort of as it were the perimeter of the earth, right? That God is that the earth is like a plate, and on top of the plate there is an equivalent plate saved. They've got absolutely no idea about.
But they tried to talk about thickness. Now they're talking about.
Yeah, but chug is here being understood as thickness. It's just saying that. It's just saying, I guess, the same shape, right? Just as the earth is shaped, so too is the heaven shaped. Since we know that the earth is, has a certain kind of thickness to it because it's flat. Not flat, but two-dimensional.
But do they see it in finite terms, or do they? I guess I give it a thickness, but is there a length?
Good question.
The size.
My best halachic answer to this. Is the concept of mayim she'ein lahem sof, waters that have no end to them. If your husband falls off a boat in water that has an end to it, you can presume that your husband is still alive.
It's a lake. Water.
Right. Okay. What we would now call a lake, and that therefore. You are not a widow. You are literally an aguna. That's the origin of an aguna. Someone whose husband has disappeared. We don't know whether or not they're dead or not. But mayim she'ein lahem sof, water that has no end. They've dropped off the edge of the Odrand or whatever. So there is a concept of mayim she'ein lahem sof. If somebody falls off a boat in the sea, the ocean, then you presume that they're gone forever. But I'm not sure whether or not that means that you fall off the edge or just that it's clear. Somebody falls off a boat in the middle of the Atlantic, you just assume they've drowned, as opposed to someone who falls off a boat in the Tiberias, you assume that they've probably made it to the other side and that they haven't been reunited with their wife yet.
Okay.
So you'd have to get you'd have to get a get, wouldn't you? Not a get.
Can't get a get.
No,
can't get a get.
This is why they're aguna.
Yeah.
Okay, so now
the big classic issue in contemporary Israel was the submariners of the Hadekel or the Degel. There was a submarine that disappeared, an Israeli submarine that disappeared with 27 people on it, and Shlomo Goren went through an enormous amount of work. I mean, I was talking about Shlomo Goren last summer when I came back from Israel, but in his 3-volume work of Shuvot on matters military, there must be about 180 pages on freeing up the wives of these submariners so that they could go on and remarry. And he dealt with every single case separately, going back to their original marriage documentation. And it was an extraordinary piece of work. Amar Ravacha. Milton, do you want to have a go at Amar Ravacha? Amar Ravacha, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rabbi Nechmaya.
No.
Ravacha, fourth line down, page Nun Ched.
Ravacha b'shem Rab Chanina katas hazeh Rabbi Yoshua bar Rabbi Nechmaya Amar keshekatin
Kishtayim Kishalosh Etzba'ot.
Sorry, Kishtayim Shalosh Etzba'ot.
Pause there. Okay, so we're still trying to work out how thick the rakia is. Rabbi Acha says.
Oh, it's missing on my page.
Oh, sorry. Rabbi Acha says it is as thick as a tuss. For those of you who don't know what a tuss is.
Translated as a metal plate here.
Well, they failed to give the sense of the. And they got it wrong.
Not for the first time.
A tuss is foil, right? And here's the important usage of it in the Gemara. If you write a get on foil, right, on something exceptionally thin, so normally you would write a get on thick paper so that it it feels that it's a proper document. But if you write it on something exceptionally thin, it's still okay as a get. So he's saying that the rakia is a tuss. It's incredibly fine, which is why it can be punctured and why the rain comes through so easily, right? So it's as thick as a tuss.
And that's how thick the earth is as well?
Well, no, it's in disagreement.
Oh, it's disagreement.
The first one is that it's as thick as the earth. The second one is it is as thick as a tuss.
That raises the question: what do they mean by talk about the earth? You can't have thought that the earth, even if he was wrong, but he couldn't have thought that the earth was just the thickness of a thick sea.
No.
But we studied in Sukkah that they thought when they remember when they put the digging the water draining out of the temple, they knew how far it was the earth, and it was only a few meters, and they said
but even a few meters is a lot different than a thick.
Correct.
No, but somebody else has a different opinion.
First one is it's as thick as a bunch of meters, right? Deeper than you could dig, but not beyond imagination. Second one is it's as foil, right? It's as tuss. And the third one is it's as thick as Stein Schloss Etzba'ot. Two or three fingers, that kind of thickness.
The rakia.
Yes.
Or the earth.
And the earth.
Oh, no, the rakia. And now we have yes.
So we've gone away from this similarity between the earth and the rakia.
Correct. Now we have yet another idea about the thickness of the rakia. Milton.
Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi Amar Hamayim Ha'elyonim Yiteirin Al Hatochtonim Keshloshim Kesustaot.
Pause there. So we're not asking about the question of the thickness of the rakia. We're asking about the relevant sizes of the water above and the water below, right? So so Hamayim Ha'elyonim, right? The
water in the rakia. Is that water above?
Right.
The water's from the water.
Above the rakia, right? Elyonim. Do you remember the rakia separates between the Mayim Ha'elyonim and the Mayim Ha'tachtonim? Yeah. So the upper waters is yoter or yoterin, more than Ha'tachtonim, the lower waters, by about shloshim ksustaot, and a ksusta is and for those of us who can read Greek, that presumably says
Sisters.
All right, it's by about 30 pints. I mean, right now, I love it because in contemporary world, I suppose you still buy pints of milk. But if you say it's by about 30 pints, you just think of beer, right? It's funny. I mean, this is a pre. I don't know when this was done. 1900 something pre. And I guess it's American. Oh well, right? It's 1906. Right, it's American anyway, so they still measure everything in pints and cups and things. But about 30 pints more above than there is below. How do we know this? We're going to now prove this from a midrash. This is Gerald. This is one. Absolutely, this is right up your street. You're going to love this, Gerald. How do we know this?
Ben Mayim Lamayim.
Ben Mayim Lamud Mayim. Right, just look down there in the commentary. Can you see where I am in the commentary? It's just kind of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ben Mayim Lamayim. Ben Mayim V'Mayim Lo Nemar. Ella Lamayim. It doesn't say that there was a rakia between the waters and the waters, but rather between the waters, Lamed the waters.
To the waters.
Right? And Lamed is Tlatin. Talat is a Aramaic word, and you can switch out your tufts for your shins very often to go from Aramaic to Hebrew. So Talat is really shalosh. So shaloshin or shaloshim, which we would call 30. So Lamed is 30. Do we know Gematria well enough to know that? Right. Aleph Bet Gimel Dal Hey Vav Zayin Chet Tet. Yud is 10. Kaf is 20. Lamed is 30. Right. So there is between the waters, i.e. the lower waters, there is 30. I suppose it doesn't matter which water. Between the waters, there is 30 to the waters. In other words, the waters above are 30, and this is the bit that is really good. What unit? Clearly, this sustaot. Clearly there's 30 sustaot more above than there are.
And not lugs.
Yeah, not lugs. Right, not lugs.
There's
Exactly.
a whole set of Talmudic measurements, and he's chosen Ksustios.
Yeah, which we have no. Right. I have nothing else to say about this.
So why is he mentioning this? What difference would it make? How many more?
I mean, it's that it's basically that moment of the Seder where Colin Marbe le Saper right. The more you tell the story of the going out of Egypt, the better. And then it then goes off into 10 plagues, or 100 plagues, or 500 plagues, or 50 plagues. They're basically just doing that. I mean, they're just asking questions around the Rakia. This does not strike me as interesting. The next one, I think, is very interesting.
But this is very much angels on the head of a pin.
This is quite literally, no, not quite literally, but very close to literally.
It's pints in a barrel, not angels on the head of a pin.
Yeah, how much water is there in the heavens? On a day like today, it's not a bad question.
A lot.
And maybe that's what's happening, right? I mean, maybe it's one of those days in
less
Jerusalem.
up there and more down here.
Well, right, I mean, you can see. I mean, they say. I mean, sometimes you can feel that it's driven. I mean, that one which we did a while ago, that it rains and rains and rains, and there's still no lessening of God's waters. Very beautiful, right? 'Cause, again, scientifically, completely, nonsensical because they don't understand evaporation.
No, but they do. That's just the point I was thinking of. They do understand evaporation because they didn't have refrigeration. How did they preserve meat? They put it out to dry.
Right.
And they must have known that the dry meat weighs less than the wet meat.
Even I can see that. Yeah.
They must have known that. There was an agricultural community without refrigeration, so there's something they knew, but I think they were just making a drasha.
Well, in general, I would love to agree with you. I think, I would bring this midrash as a good proof of the fact that you just can't take the rabbis seriously on science. That's just not the point. And it's kind of interesting to sort of understand exactly what's going on. But, within what you sometimes find, actually classically, when did this really turn up? When evolution turned up, right? Which is a major scientific challenge to the apparent worldview of the rabbis. Pages upon pages upon pages, specifically in that volume over there, were dedicated to show that the rabbis did actually understand evolution, because if you can read this midrash in such a way, and you read this verse in such a way, and I'm not really interested in doing that. I think that's going to be a difference between a kind of a Wissenschaft, a scientifically critical reading, and a kind of an absolutely orthodox reading where you have to kind of save the rabbis for all time, despite the fact, time is changing.
The concept that there's vapour and that water goes to vapour and it's in the atmosphere. Maybe right.
You'd need to know a lot more rabbinics.
Yeah.
And actually, it's
They
going
must
to
have
be
put
even
their
more.
clothes out to dry
Oh, yeah,
after
no,
they
no,
washed
It's going to
of
be.
course,
It's going to be
of course
even.
you
You know, it's going to be right. Certainly, you put the washing is heavier as it goes on the line than it is when it comes off the line. But you would have to read a whole bunch of rabbinics to deal with these kinds of questions at PhD level kinds of questions. Not
There's
at all.
something you can do when you retire.
I've got my PhD. I don't need no.
Yeah, it would be fun.
You know the main reason to get a PhD. So you never have to get a PhD.
You've got knowledge.
I had a theory, which I still believe is true, that when I did my PhD, during the 3 or 4 years I did my PhD, I forgot more than I learned.
Well,
I learned a lot about a very...
You took a lot of information. It's got to make room for it somewhere.
And I seem to have forgotten lots of other stuff.
It's like the water. It
Moving
comes
on. All right, Midrash 6. Here we go. This is the last Midrash in the parak. No, it isn't. But the last Midrash in the parak. Vayas. Thank you, Milton. Anybody else want to have a go at reading? All right, let's have a back with you.
Vayas Elohim et harakia. Okay, and God made the rakia. That's a quotation. Ze echad min hamikraot sheher ish benzoma et haolam. This is one of the wonders.
No, mikra. Kriyot. Verses.
Yeah.
Oh, verses. Oh. That benzoma
Rush. Rush Gadol.
Expounded.
Yeah, made a big noise about.
Raised the commotion.
Yeah, raise the question is a bit too posh, right? Hirish et haolam. I mean, shouted down the world. What do you mean? And he's off.
See,
By the way, what
lost
happened to
his cool.
What happened to Ben Zomer in the end?
He's the
He went mad.
He went mad,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we had that. Do you remember when he went up? I mean, we knew about the Pardes. He went into Pardes. Ben Zomer is the one who goes mad. So he's obviously, as we would say,
this evidence, most of the others were too.
an excited. Well, the point about this, just strange word, right? It doesn't say he asked the question. It says that he just, he shouted out the world. He's an excitable chap. Did he go nuts because he started contemplating Pardes? Maybe he was a bit over-energetic in the first place. I mean, this kind of stuff is, I think, kind of interesting because it fits, right, with other things that we kind of know. But here we go. He's got this big question.
So
What's
he doesn't
his
like the
question?
word vayas. Vayas etmaha? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
What do you
Vayas?
What do you mean?
Huh?
V'halo b'ma'amar hen.
Hey,
So he just proclaimed it
God made the world, right? Didn't it say that he did it
by word.
with words? Text proof. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to go all the way off to Psalms. I mean, you could just read the story itself.
B'devar Hashem shamayim na'asu u'v'ruach piv kol tzva'am. By the word of God, the heavens were created, and but He didn't make them; they were made. This is na'asu. U'v'ruach piv, and from the breath of His mouth, all of creation.
Right. So, I mean, it's not such an interesting.
I would say that God did that.
Well, it's interesting, right? What's the verb? What's the verb that they use there? What does the marmar do? The marmar is asu, right? No, the marmar actually makes it. So I mean, it kind of slightly falls down on the basis of his own textual proof of the strength of his own question.
But I think he's saying it happened just by his issuing a word rather than his constructing it. Maybe
Right.
constructions vayas sounds
spoken
more
it.
like
He's spoken it
making.
was,
Maybe Yas is that one of those words that it's a particular type of making, like you can have some verbs for
it's
God's
insufficiently
creation.
right. It's insufficiently holy, right, as a form of manufacture. Right, I can do a seer. I can make, and we've had, this before. God just did it without even breaking a sweat. All this kind of, maybe that's what's behind it. What's slightly interesting to me about this is there's no answer given at all. They just move on. And it kind of reminds me in my own sort of rabbinic journey that I get really excited about certain things and go and want to talk to people about them. And be like, yeah, no, it's just not really an interesting question. And you come back with some other thing that didn't strike you as a particularly interesting question. And there's like, oh, yeah, Rashi was on that, and Ibn Ezra was on that, and Nachmanides is on that. And there's, like, the thing that interests rabbis isn't always the thing that interests normal people, for want of a better term. But here's the first of these Ben Zoma ones. But what should you be expecting to follow now? Some of the other mikra that got at Ben Zoma, and sure enough, here we are. And what's going to come off the back of that? Some other verses that got other people. So this is how the Midrash gets to be constructed. So now he's on his second.
And he's worried about Lama ein ketiv basheni kitov. So, presumably on the second day, I don't recall the detail, but I thought it said he did see kitov on the second day.
One of these you might know. One of these is quite famous. So here we go. The first day, God saw the light and it was good. God called the light on the first day. Second day, let me just read you the second day. And God said, let there be a firmament in the middle of the waters. Let it divide the waters from the waters. God made the firmament, divided the waters which were under the firmament, lamed, the waters that were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, evening and morning, second day.
Oh, it's the third day that he used kitov twice.
Good, okay. We'll need that. We'll need to know that as well. Okay, so no good on second day, two lots of good on the third day. Which is why in Haredi communities, quite often you get marriages on Yom HaShlishi, on the third day, on Monday night, Tuesday, because Pamayim Kitov, twice it says Kitov, so it's considered auspicious. But let's get into. We're going to spend quite a bit of time on what's the problem with Sheni.
Why was it left out, Kitov?
Mm-hmm.
Rabbi Yochanan Tani la b'shem Rabbi Yossi
Rabbi Chalafta.
Oh, Rabbi Chalafta.
So Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Chalafta, right? Ben Rabbi Chalafta.
Shebo nivrat Gehinna. So on that day, in addition to doing the Rakia, the Gehenna was also created.
Right. Okay. So hell was created on the second day. What's the proof that hell was created on the second day?
Something from Isaiah. Shnamar ki aruch me etmul tofteh. Yom sheyesh bo etmol ve'ein bo shilshom.
Okay. So let's so ki aruch. Where are we? Isaiah 30. Isaiah 30:33. The verse is for, right, so this word, Tophet, is ordained of old. Oroch was set out, me etmol, from etmol, and here translated as from old. So here generally translated as just, it's ancient, Tophet. I'm going to say a little word about Tophet in a second, but let's just understand. Assume that Tophet is hell. We'll get in on. We'll get there in a second. Right. So God set out hell, me'et mol. So on what day did God set out hell? On the Yom sheyesh bo etmol ve'ein bo shilshon.
So it only has a yesterday. It doesn't have a day before yesterday.
Correct. What day has a yesterday and doesn't have a day before yesterday? The second day. Right, Tmol Shilshom, as well as being the name of a very nice cafe in Jerusalem, is the word for the day before yesterday. Hebrew has such a word. Why do we? Are we in a nostalgia?
The day before yesterday. What is it again?
Tmol Shilshom.
Tmol Shilshom.
Or Etmol Shilshom. Or the third. The third yesterday. Right. Today. Yesterday.
The Shabbat's coming after the Shabbat's coming. You're talking about.
Well, you can wish people Shabbat Shalom from Tuesday because. Tuesday is Machal time, right? Shlishi is Machal time, Erev Yom Shabbat. Okay, so what I thought I would do is just catch some stuff about Tophet. Forgive me, I bought this from a terribly unreliable source of Wikipedia, but it's on the back of that TUS sheet. This is this word Tophet. Right, which appears in Isaiah, is a location in Jerusalem in the Gehinnom Valley, right? So if you stand in Yemen Moshe and you look towards the old city, the valley directly in front of you is the valley of Gehinnom. And Tophet is a location in there where worshippers influenced by the ancient Canaanite religion engaged in human sacrifice of children to the gods, Moloch and Baal, by burning them alive. And that is sort of quite broadly held within the sort of Jewish mind that there was child sacrifice going on. Whether or not it literally was or not is a slightly different question. The traditional expression that a burning rubbish heap in the valley of Gehinnom in the south of Jerusalem gave rise to the idea of a fiery Gehenna of judgment is attributed to Rabbi David Kimchi's commentary on Psalms. So during the time of the first temple, before there exists, or before we can prove in Judaism the idea of a hell of fire, it doesn't exist within the Hebrew Bible until much later, because the Valley of Gehinnom was where they would burn all the rubbish. So the rubbish would be taken out of Jerusalem, dumped, and burnt, and that was how you got rid of your rubbish. You couldn't. There's no water around. They're not digging it. They're not putting it in landfills. They're burning it. But he's saying that it kind of became this sort of burning idea, and that's how it then became. And the Christians obviously made much more of a deal of it than the Jews. That there was this sort of hell of burning damnation, and that's how that kind of arises.
In Christianity, is the word Tophet used in anything at all? Okay.
Well, I mean, in translation. So, I mean, the verse in Isaiah says Tophet. I mean, whenever the Christians would translate Isaiah, I'm sure they would translate it as Tophet, and it definitely appears in, I'm presuming, these Greek and Latin words we know from the Vulgate, from the Septuagint and the Vulgate. And there is some etymological connection between this word tough and burning, unless it means drums, maybe just beating drums. And so that's what people say that Moloch, ancient Moloch worship didn't involve burning children, and they just beat drums lots.
What is this quotation? 2 Kings 23:10. Is that Reese Tophet actually?
Just say it again. 2 Kings
23:10. I didn't bring my Tanakh with me.
There we go, the day you don't bring it Tanakh.
That's it.
Nevertheless, the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of the God in Jerusalem, but they did eat of the unleavened bread among their brethren, and he defiled Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom. So it's right where no man might make his son or daughter to pass through the fire to Molech. Yeah,
so it's very explicit.
Yeah. Yeah. So Isaiah, and of course Isaiah post-dates Kings, right? Isaiah is this would have been known. This idea that Tophet in the valley of Gehinnom was that kind of Moloch place. How did we get there? Why don't we talk about this? Why doesn't the second day get a Kitov? Because it's the day that hell was created, and you can see how something evolves from this kind of mention here, right? That Moloch, that's the Moloch place. It then becomes associated with hell, with burning, and child sacrifice, because you just don't like those Moloch worshippers. So you'll accuse them of the very worst things that you possibly can, such as infanticide. And now, of course, Yom Sheni is therefore not Tov. How do you get there? But let's do a different.
Okay, so Rabbi Chanina has a different. Rabbi Chanina Omer Shebo Nivrat Machaloket. That I guess he's still trying to say why the second day was not Kitov, because on the second day there was a separation.
Machloket, which translates as being...
Well, chelek, or it could be an argument.
An argument.
Oh, really?
Right, as a separation or an argument. I mean, it's interesting. We're forced to take sides in how to translate machloket in English. But, I mean, really, you could just say, because on the second day it was machloket. And the word is still sitting as separation and an argument is still right. I mean, do Do we know this machloka is the thing that you talk about when rabbis disagree with one another? But yeah, so here we go. So how do we know that there was a machloka? From chelek, right? Taking sides. There we go. That's the perfect translation.
Shneimar v'hi mavdil bein mayim l'mayim, so that it separates. There is rakia would be a separation between one set of water and the other set of water.
That is very, very interesting. Not a very Masorti position. That the world would have been a better place were it not for disagreement. Right? Personally, I that scares me. Witless, the world is a much better place. Thank goodness, because of disagreement, we need to learn how to disagree better, not to aspire to a world without disagreement. And President Erdogan and others, but this is where we're at. So let's just stay just with this idea just a little bit more.
So Omar Rab Tavyome im machloket shehi letikuno shel olam. If
one more word.
Uveli shuvo ein baki tov. If the argument
or the taking sides or the mavdil, right? If the separation, which is
the arrangement or the sorting out of the world
and its inhabitants, right? I.e., rain. If the thing that allows for the rain to fall, right? That's how I think that's how to understand this. If on the second day you've got the upper waters and the lower waters and the heavens, and this allows the world to go about its business. If for that machloket, ein kativ bar, ein bar kitov, if for this fabulous mavdil between the upper and the lower, and I have no ideological problem with the rakia. If for that there is no kitov.
Machaloket shehi leiru buvo al achat kama v'kama.
Right.
Well, he's saying that if even for something good, a good machlokas, which allows us to live in the world,
right,
and that's not considered kitov, that's not considered good. How much more so a machloket which
people arguing, right?
Right? So, but he's now assuming his conclusion from his thing. Exactly. He's saying, why is it not got it's good on the second day? And now he's saying, because that was done, that was why it was done. He's not given a reason for it. He's just assumed the answer.
Yeah.
Well, that's not unrabbinic. That's not. But I think you have to stand it up somehow. Once someone's raised the question, and it's interesting because this is a rabbinically interesting question. Why is there no kitov on the Yom Shlishi? And they're wrestling with it, and they're worried about it. And we're gonna see another completely different idea. So we've had the first idea was that Gehinnom was created. The second idea is that there is a machloka. There is a hav
or any separation. Any separation.
Because any separation is not good. And even a separation which is for the good of the world, separation is so bad that we don't kitov that day. We don't give that day a kitov.
But why is the separation between the two firmaments bad?
It's not. It's not. It's just a separation. It's a parev separation. But all separation, says Rav Chanina, all separation is bad because you have lessened the unity of the.
He's arguing the other way around. He's assuming that
good separations
all separations for confusion are bad, and even it'll apply to a separation that's not confusion. That's also bad.
He's saying even all good separations are bad, and all bad separations are very, very bad.
But that's the opposite way from what he was saying.
No. He said even a good separation,
the separation of the rakia, which is good for everybody,
and didn't get
still doesn't get kitov. How much the more so, and actually argumentative.
But how does he know that it's not being called good because of the separation?
That's his conjecture.
That's his point.
That's his conjecture.
That can't be the point because he's arguing backwards. No, it's back to front. It's back to front. It's a reverse of the normal way you apply it. Normally, it is, if it applies to this situation, all the more so would it apply to that situation.
He's saying, that's exactly what he's saying. He says, if it applies to a separation which is beneficial, but that's, of course, his conjecture.
That's the point.
Because he doesn't say kitov.
All right, let's keep moving.
Okay. Omer Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachman. Lefi shelo nig b'mra melechet hamayim lefichach katuv b'shlishi kito shnei piyamim. Echad lemlechet hamayim ve'echad lemlachto shel yom. Now, he's saying that he didn't finish up all of his work with water on the second day.
Good. Right? Let's just remind ourselves of what's going on here. So the second day we know, right? This is the second day. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, divide the waters from the waters, and he made the firmament, he divided the waters which were under from the waters which were above, and he called the firmament heaven, and the morning, and the evening, the second day. Third day opens like this. God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so, and God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters sea, and God saw that it was good. And then the third day continues, let the earth bring forth grass, tat, and God saw that it was good. In other words, and this actually, I think, is a kind of, for want of a better term, but it's a pshat, right? The God starts the work with the waters on the second day, but he hasn't got the seas, he hasn't pulled the water back to reveal the earth, creating the seas, and that therefore he hasn't finished Melechet Hamayim. He hasn't finished the creative work of the water. And the minute that he finishes the creative work of the water, he calls it Tov. In other words, the Tovness is not day related, it's completion of units of work related.
So it's twice on the third day to cover what was done on the second day.
Achad lemelechet hamayim, one for the work of the waters, v'achad melachto shel yom, and one for the work of the day. What was the work of the day? The grass and everyone. So now we have back to this really interesting type that we've come across a few times.
Shala matrona achat et Rabbi Yossi. And matrona is another Roman or
it's a Roman matron, right? No. Here understood as a matrona is usually a rich woman, but usually understood as a well-meaning questioner. The matrona does much better than the Sumerians and and the minim, and the Romans in general. But she's perceived to be like an
intelligent woman.
An intelligent woman who's got an intelligent question.
Amralo, she said to him, Lama ein ketiv basheni ki tov. Okay, it's the same question. Very reasonable question. Omar la af al pi chen chazar uchlalo kulo basof. Despite the
non-calling the second day tov, af al pi chen, right? Even though you're right, we didn't call the second day tov.
He went back and uchlalo kulo basof, and he went. I think this is the same argument, isn't it?
No. Can you do it?
He went.
Having finished the second day, and the third day, and the fourth day, and the fifth day, and the sixth day, and the seventh day, Chazar, God went back and took all of it together at the end and said, Shne'emar,
Vayar Elohim et kol
asher asa, v'hinei
Tov Me'od.
Tov Me'od, right? That's the end of the creation, right? So even though God didn't call the work of the second day good on the second day, don't think that it's not good, because at the end of the entire creation, God says, Kol asher asa Tov, brackets, Me'od.
Well, again, the sixth day also has two tovs, because when he created the animals and the humans, he called that tov, and then at the end of the sixth day,
it's a Kol asher asa Tov Me'od. Yeah, so he gives an answer, and that's not a bad answer, but look what happens now. I love this. Absolutely love this.
Omrale.
She comes back to him. She's not satisfied, this woman. I'm giving you an
That's
answer,
right, no,
but she's got a problem.
Why
What?
wait till the 6th day?
Well, you have problems. She's got a very nice one.
This seems very contrived. Why would a non-Jewish woman be asking
It's a
these
story.
questions?
Right, but I mean, so the question is,
really.
well, I mean, that's the question.
Yeah.
You know, what is this? Is this a literary form? Is this a reportage of genuine conversation? Well, I mean, because what's so interesting is that Rabbi Yossi does not come out of this particularly well. I mean, I'll just tell you what's going to happen. She comes back with him with a perfectly good objection to his answer, and he has to go and pull out, and he comes back with the answer that we just had, which, by the way, is a very good answer, and the 2, the 3, that is, you know, so she knocks him back, which makes me think that he was perhaps exposed, right? He was, and he was slightly caught. You know, it's like one of those viral memes. You know, did you see the one when, you know, this person standing up in a town hall meeting in Poughkeepsie, you know, wherever it is, you know, caught out the prime minister or, you know, the presidential candidate. You know, that kind of stuff gets retweeted because it was kind of interesting. And I do think that rabbis were having conversations with non-Jews, with non-rabbinic Jews.
That may be true.
And actually, one of the really interesting things, and I'm thinking of a really, really interesting Midrash in Vayikra Rabbah, where Daniel the tailor embarrasses the rabbis on the issue of mamzerot, and they canonize it. You know, the rabbis actually, they leave this moment of them being literally hung out to dry, but not literally.
But you're still assuming now that this was something that actually took place in that example. It's not just being dreamt up by the
but I don't think he would embarrass
by the editor and using it as a means to hang his lesson.
No, I don't, because I say I don't think that you would embarrass Rabbi Yossi in this way. Were it not for the fact that the Rabbi Yossi, and I don't know, but you know, but actually, well, why dream this up this way? Why dream the challenge of the non-Jew up in such a way that the non-Jew comes out of it looking better than the rabbi?
Because sometimes it's a creative way. You don't know what.
Unless the editor wanted to criticise that particular rabbi.
Unless the rabbi didn't like Rabbi Yossi particularly. Well, I mean, you know, I'm not sure about it. I just think it's very, very interesting. Because you know, so she comes back with her challenge.
Mashal Shisha B'nei Adam. There were 6. Here's an example. A parable.
And look how she does it. She comes back with
the rabbinic statement.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I think this is a made-up story.
Mashal
Shisha B'nei
for conversion. So
she's in a little high class. Exactly. Mashal Shisha B'nei Adam. Ba'in etzlecha v'yat notein l'chol echad v'echad maneh. So these 6 people come to you, and you give each of them a gift.
A maneh, a unit.
It's a small coin, isn't it?
Whatever.
No, it's a unit of stuff.
Uli echad ein at notein maneh. V'at chozer. One of them you don't give anything to. V'at chozer v'notein l'chulam maneh echad. And then you say, okay, now all of you, I'm going to give you another maneh.
Right. So what's the nimshal?
It's you.
Every day gets a tov, apart from Shani, and then at the end,
everyone gets another tov.
You get another tov, which you then have to share between Kula, you know, all of you. Shall I do? I'd like to. Is that all right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Carry on.
Lo nimsa biyad kol echad mana ushtut. Don't all of them have one mana for their day and 1/6 of mana? Ubiyad echad, apart from one, shtut, huh? Right, and the ones only got the
money
6
given to all of them jointly.
Yeah, and they have to share that last tov out, so they all get 1/6 of that last tov. So one of them's got 1/6, and the other, and everybody else has got 1 and 1/6. Interestingly, what has she forgot? Shlishi Paman Kitov, right? So you know, it's a bit at Maha. Whoa, Chazar. Rabbi Yossi has to go back, right? He comes back and he says, "Va'amarla kahodama Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachman." Right? He comes back and then brings the thing and says, sorry, hang on, wait a second. And then I remember something about this. I know. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachman said, yeah. What was the thing that Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachman said? Lefi shelo nigrama melechet hamayim. Oh, yeah, that was it. That God didn't finish the working of the water on the second day. Lefi chakativ b'shlishi bet pa'amim kitov. Therefore, on the third day it was kitov. But that it's not that the third day is twice as good. but rather achat lemelechet hamayim ve'achat lemelechet hayom. That one went to the working of the water and one went for the action of the day. So that day is the that tov.
There was a second matter given on the third day.
So she tries, but she doesn't quite get it right. And then it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. What is the role of Matrona? That would be a great piece of work. You wouldn't get a PhD.
Is that coming quite often?
Matrona gets a decent run out. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine 30 or 40 appearances at least in rabbinic literature, maybe more. And always, not it doesn't get a whack. It is quite interesting. Back on next week.
Is that similar to when, like when the Rabbi Akiva was arguing with the Roman governor?
Yeah, and they always lose.
Similar idea.
No, the Roman governors. So the point I'm making is that Roman governors always lose. And Matrona kind of emerges with her honour from these engagements.
Okay. I think I was pretty much. I think I pretty much answered this. Yeah, but just